Hello everyone, we're going to get right into it. This is a document that came out that was put on Legal Mindset's channel. Once again, sources Legal Mindset for this one. And I want to see what you guys think about it. It could be seen as a defense of Nijisanji bullying, a defense of those who did the bullying, or a defense of those who have done actions that seem kind of weird to us. I think no matter what, there is no way to defend any of the actions that have been going on, even if they're being pressured. First of all, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is all on Legal Mindset. This was sent directly to Legal Mindset. These are screenshots that I was able to get from someone. They sent it to me just because they thought it would be interesting, and they thought, you know, they wanted my opinion on this. So this is a new little, I don't know if it's a defense doc, but it's kind of a rationalization doc, I guess you would call it. For the most part, it does seem to try to find the middle ground, but there are some things that are kind of, interesting here. So we're going to start here. This is a sort of defense of Nijisanji's talents. Why I believe the click rat is bull, and the retweet should not immediately condemn the others. So this is a person that immediately starts out seeming to be defending Nijisanji. We don't know if they actually are Nijisanji, but they made him defend Nijisanji at least a little bit more. Hello, Andrew. I'm Duserali, a pseudonym. Andrew, of course, is legal Mindset. Of course, like this was sent to Legal Mindset. He made it public, so that's how come I can do it. If it was all in private and then I somehow got it leaked, that would be a whole different matter. But this was put in public on the stream, so I'm going to be able to speak about it. I'm Duserali, a pseudonym for Google and Google Plus Days, so don't worry about censoring and relative protection about your personal identifiable information. I have watched your coverage and taken quite delight as you've fallen down our humble and deep rabbit hole. So this is basically saying the click rat and other related coverage, a fair amount of flaming regarding the talents who retweeted the infamous black screen stream. In light of the revelations regarding the unsigned contract and even more recently the corporation's treatment of an external artist, and I'm not talking about the ones that Selen was forced to pay, I come to the conclusion that the click rat is 4chan acting more plain mad than the mad oracle streak that they've been on lately. The aim of this document is to provide a reasonably compelling case to you and possibly your audience why the click rat is acting more mad than the mad oracle, and I dare hope allow Niji sisters and out while still supporting their Oshis. Again, I've always said supporting your Oshi is fine. Supporting your Oshi is always going to be fine. I never have anything against it. It's just, the main things is what I have something against. The trying to rationalize the things that happen in Nijisanji. That's where I have an issue. Now the disclaimers, he says, before I start, some disclaimers are in order because I think he knows he's going to get attacked. So, while I will use a bit of psychology in this document, I am by no means a trained psychologist, just someone whose own mental health leading to me going to war with my brain since forever has inspired an interest in it. I can answer some of the questions, but you would be getting a somewhat educated layman's perspective, not a trained mental health professional. 2. I know just enough about Japanese culture to know I would not want to work or live there. I'm a pale white guy from the Midwest who has been outside of the United States exactly once. Would love to visit Japan one day still. I am not a lawyer in any way, shape, or form. The extent of any legal training I have is Reddit AMA legal advice videos, the VTuber streams, Law by Mike shorts, and a certain Eagle-themed nemesis of Legal Mindset. Oh, legal is what this is, basically. He's talking about legal. I may offer interpretation, but will likely be heavily flawed, and if this ends up on stream, Legal Mindset, it can set the record straight. If not, well, you already will be able to poke holes in any interpretation I give. Regardless, as I said, I'm not a lawyer, and will gladly defer judgment to someone who is. And I will say, you judge everything based on the information presented in front of you. You don't judge it just by your emotions, and you don't judge it by little things that you're not happy with. Your company isn't seen in the best light, that kind of stuff. This document is speculation based on what I know from psychology and some backup from unsigned contract as presented by the Legal Mindset who did it, yeah. What information Sayu presented in One Girl's Story and the information presented by the external artist about working with Nijisanji. I have no special knowledge to flat out confirm or deny the guilt or innocence of any talent under Nijisanji's employ. I'm just offering a differing POV to the rat. This is more an apology that I would not feel right leaving out, but while I attempt to keep a more formal tone, I have not written anything near academic in years. So please forgive any tonal inconsistency or typos or the like. This is the most serious formal essay style writing I've ever done since college. Part 1, the refresher. So we're moving on to the refresher right now. To ensure that everyone is on the same page, again, he's trying to give a little bit of background to this. A quick refresher of the immediate events surrounding Selen Tatsuki's termination and the infamous black screen stream. Around Christmas 2023, Selen uploaded her last cup of coffee, originally created by Lily Pichu, who's confirmed on Twitter to have given Selen permission in the previous year. Selen had been stonewalled by management, which in an interesting note is a common tactic in Japanese corporations that want someone to quit instead of outright fire. So he's kind of giving the idea that they wanted her to quit. His little I think his little rat that he's going through right now, or at least what it seems like, is that they wanted her to quit and they were stonewalling her and preventing her from doing these things in order to make her just leave instead of being fired. It makes sense because companies have done that in the US as well. They will stonewall you for all your projects. They'll stonewall you for promotions in order to get you the heck out of there. Ostensibly because of the internal need to confirm rights in regards to two talents who had left, Mista and Nina. Selen, understandably, likely having been stonewalled since around Lily had gave her explicit okay since around that time, jumped the gun and released the video. One of Nijisanji, our favorite black company, had just seen a rule broken. They privated the video and Selen, while she still maintained control, explained the situation. Then she encouraged her fans, the Dragoons, to re-upload the video and really grinded the control-happy Nijisanji gears. Yes, a nepotistic company that is very control-happy will not like it when you say, oh, yeah, you know, hint, hint, wink, wink, go and send this to everybody that you have, send this to everybody that you know, make sure that they see it and make sure that it is just shared as much as you can. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know, all that kind of stuff. It will not go well with the company. What followed was a silence of stealth suspension, only punctuated by skin-walked posts about Selen being in the hospital for an accident. January passed by without a peep. Then on February 5th, the termination notice was issued, which listed out a series of frankly laughable offenses to a Western audience. Though there is one item I would like to draw attention to, specifically where it mentions Selen bringing to their attention, as per strict contract, that livers were bullying her. However, this is a termination notice that Nijisanji wrote. Selen or Dokibird at this point never once said it was fellow livers bullying her. In fact, Doki never once indicated it was a fellow talent either. In either, I will not be silenced anymore tweet, or any of the statements she was practically forced to make by Nijisanji's attempt to repeat Zaion's treatment. But that is skipping ahead. A scuffed launch back into her PL, and Doki sets up her first schedule with her first game streaming being Neopets. Entirely by coincidence. I don't think it's coincidence. I think they was kind of, you know, I don't know. It felt planned. It felt planned on my end. That's just my little rat. It felt planned. Illyra Pandora has a stream set up for the same day, a message from Nijisanji. What followed was a coordinated attack, boosted by retweets and quote retweets that I could find from the talents Shu, Vox, and other things. To say that this backfired would put it mildly. The stream gave names, those of Illyra herself, Enna Alouette, and Millie Parfait, as prime suspects of who caused Dokibird's attempt. It gave names that I myself was happy to blame, then recent revelations surfaced, and combined with old info, left me concerned. Part 2. In the year 1963, this is a primer on Milgram. Milgram is a specific study that was done. Let me see if I can shorten this for you. The field of psychology was relatively young and still nailing down its ethics code. A researcher by Stanley Milgram wanted to test out how much people were willing to bow to authority, wishing to see how true the Nuremberg defense "I was just following orders" rang, because the people who were on Nuremberg said, "I was just following orders, I was just following orders, I was just following orders," and that was their defense to all the horrible things they did. To do this, our researchers set up an experiment involving a test with obviously a learner to take the test and teacher to proctor it, with a divider so the face could not be seen. Curiously, there was a role of experimenter was added to the mix to oversee this test and ensure that the teacher administered the punishment, an electric shock that would get worse each time it was used. If the learner answered wrong, as you might surmise, the true test subject was not the learner, but the teacher. With the learner only an actor who faked the shocks, while the experimenter pushed the teacher as far as they could into issuing the shocks. With the learner sure that the supposed voltage would get nice and high, with 300 volts hopefully marked as danger, and capping at least the 450 volts, which is a lot of volts. Just 50 under where serious risk of death and definite hospital visits occur. With a sample size of 40 males and range of 20 to 50 of varying professions, they combine various factors to make it, you know, spread out and everything. The test added up to 636 overall. Teacher's empathy was put to test against authority. The results, unless factored in with an additional teacher to show defiance or personal connect to the learner's hand to the shock plate, were not great. In the control, everyone would go up to 300 volts, with a little over half and roughly 65% going to the full 450. And in making the location prestigious symbols of authority, and even an assault to help diffuse the my fault feelings. It could go as high as a low 90% range. All this was done with cries of pain, begging to stop, and proclamations of a heart condition with a fake cardiac arrest in the background as a constant the voltage went up. It's basically saying, this whole thing, I'm not going to read all of it, I read most of it, is saying that people will follow instructions if there is a higher authority that where you could get in trouble for it. Because it says even semi-resistant partial replications, actual ethical codes and safety practices, full-on replication is thankfully impossible. Bear much the same fruit. Bear in mind this was done in controlled environment, with the experimenter being mostly polite but firm in pushing the teacher to do it. And I hope that you, anybody, the viewer, anybody, are starting to connect the dots. So there was also, I believe, a Texas, I think it was Texas, university that did a test on making students prisoners and guards and seeing how they would treat the prisoners when they had the ability to do whatever they wanted as a guard and the ability to have absolute authority over somebody. Person, just from what I'm seeing, is trying to give rationale to the black video that we saw, to that type of video, and maybe also rationale, maybe. I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but it seems like rationale for any of the things that Nijisanji's done, as kind of like you do that under pressure. A lot of people will do that under pressure of authority. At least that's the way it seems to me right now. Let's continue. Part 3, Milgram and Nijisanji, a Faustian contract. Now that we have the timeline and quick and dirty on how authority can get people to do things they may otherwise have refrained from, it's time to make a possible reconstruction of the events. Up to roughly around Dokibird comes back out, is roughly similar, including Nijisanji finding itself in trouble with the public. If dying down to this point, the loss of face, however, still stands, a loss of face that, at least to this scale and severity, is new for Nijisanji in the Western Hemisphere. This would likely get investors questioning why they would bother to invest in Nijisanji, as the Japanese market is saturated with the brand behind the scenes, is too money hungry to invest in talents to get themselves to stand out like Hololive with its reinvestments into the talents and willingness to take risks. So, naturally, the course of action is win back EN and lift the stain upon their honor. How do they go about doing this? Why, it's simple. Do what they do to Zaion and wreck Dokibird's reputation. They likely try Rosemi and Petra, Dokibird's genmates, and thus some with the most credibility when it comes to Selen was bad, but they managed to avoid it, likely not without some punishment, mayhaps a suspension, as to my knowledge it was only within the last few weeks from that those two popped back up, for their disobedience with possibly worse, but I'll get to that. So he's saying that there's a possibility that Nijisanji is very strict on doing as they say, and doing it quickly, as we've seen with the contract kind of backs that up. If you look into it, they have a lot of punishments for not doing what they say, pretty much. So this kind of rat kind of works a little bit. Of course, they go through their roster and those who at least had an on-screen friendly relationship with Selen, courting anyone that people would believe if they were the ones who were told the truth. And in the agency, they found 3 who could be made to bend the knee. So they were looking through their roster to find someone who has credibility in the community and could be believed about bad things that Selen was doing. You know what I mean? Which is really mean. Just from what I'm seeing, it seems like they are really trying to make it see both sides, and they're almost making it more believable that Nijisanji did do bad things, and that the rats are true. Illyria Pandora may not have had the warmest relationship with Selen, from my understanding, said as much, but it is clear the two respected one another at the time, at least as co-workers. Maybe not friends, but they were co-workers. Selen at least thought well enough of her to include her imagery in the music video. Ike Evelyn was another friendly enough face, him and Doki and Selen having a drunk collab. The very night Selen bagged her awards for the vtuber award show. Vox Akuma, the golden boy Nijisanji, had, from my understanding, a few good collabs with Selen Doki. And oh, I don't know, the largest and most feral fan base of the 3. Yeah, he has a very feral fan base. The Vox Kindred, as they're called, are insane, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, but they're insane. In fact, all 3 have large followings that could really help jumpstart Nijisanji's resurgence and Dokibird's fall. It'd all be perfect if Nijisanji had the perfect leverage. What is more a symbol of authority in the business world than a pricey-looking business suit? What more cajoling a command than the sheer blunt force machine translation Japanese to English message that they would be used to seeing? The contract being held over their heads like a sword of Damocles, hanging over them, ready to skewer them, sever them from all Nijisanji to give to them. Oh yes, Nijisanji would make sure they knew who was there to thank for their success, and it was, of course, the company. After all, wouldn't they be top dog indies if their own abilities were enough? All they had to do was be good little livers, say a few words from a script all together with the management recording the whole thing. Don't do it? Well, remember Article 2 and 8, which gives you no options. Fail to do so and we'll drain you dry and leave all the materials and you need to start over. Without us, you're nothing. A failure VTuber left in ruin because they couldn't do a simple task. This is not to mention what they were willing to do outside artists named Anasama Daisuke, which I've gone over on my video of Nijisanji screams at artist. That's the one that I have on my channel. It goes through the whole thing about her. Take a look at that one. Is merely doing some contract work for them. Well, I believe it's JP, as I have not been able to locate the tweet. One thing I've gathered is they use the basic psychological abuse via making them write out a list of their flaws and ignored by colleagues, plus other isolation measures, which a healthy dash of PTSD and adjustment disorder both diagnosed. Now this is what they were willing to do to someone outside of their company to a degree. With what they are likely capable of, those they have firmly under their thumb, they're capable of a lot. Now take the reconstruction, the very recent info of our Anasama and Milgram, and it comes together in a horrific fashion that is a far cry from the click rat in my view. The authority of Japanese businessman that is all too ready to pull the contract and its penalties to force compliance finds 3 victims to either drag into some Slack, Zoom, Discord, or even a physical office to sit down and read the script without the divider being any amount of space from half a continent away, or so the entire Pacific Atlantic, depending on Vox's location or at the time. They encouraged someone to put emotion and hide that they're reading from a script, but still some pages turning can be heard. You can hear page turning in the black video. You definitely can. All the same, the metaphorical shock cast by simple words repeated from a script rather than pressing a button. They don't even have to hear Doki's panic and pain as it's pre-recorded. Unlike Milgram's teacher and learner, with far less ethical experimenter waiting in the wings to ensure they did it. Once the recorder they set the time on, Illyra's volunteer channel to take a shot at Doki, they then turned the other talents to make sure the message was spread. By either invoking to Articles 2 and 8 or 11, they get the message out by making the talents write a quote tweet or just flat out retweet. Scarla somehow manages to dodge this, though not without a likely failed attempt at a self-suspension. This does leave most everyone else, unless I miss someone, with stains upon their reputation. And 4chan, who's already had a bone to pick with Millie and Anna from their history, and not having strong feelings to protect Illyra prior. To go into overdrive and develop the Garret with the click component thereof. Besides, there is one final issue that I find with the click rat. Here's part 4, the final part that I was able to get. Pomo Rainpuff, one of the founding members of Nijisanji and arguably before leaving was even bigger force of growth in Nijien's branch than Selen was. Pomo also was close friends with Illyra, from even before their time at Nijisanji. And Selen, the two frequently collabing. So she was friends with Illyra and Selen before Nijisanji, from what it seems from this person saying. Also, she was one of the initial pushers for collabs between Nijisanji and Hololive. Yes, she did the Kiara, the Froggy Wawa, that type of thing. She did all of those. The latter consistently blocking the attempts for at least a year or two. That would be the only thing they blocked. That wouldn't be the only thing they blocked, such as a full 3D model up until Pomo was nearing graduation day, and the infamous once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that is largely assumed to be the Metal Gear song. The Metal Gear song that Callie did, and I believe even Callie admitted that she was like the second or third choice for doing that video, for doing that collaboration. So even Callie, if I remember correctly, mentioned Memori Calliope from Hololive, mentioned that she was not the first pick for this one, that there were other people in front of her, but she was able to get it in the end. And that really does suck. And Mori said she was the third choice, as it says right here. If the click rat is true, then surely both her and the 3D review would have happened much sooner, and the denial would have never happened in the first place, as Illyra would pull out all the stops to make both happen for someone in her group. We don't know that yet, because if Pomo was part of the outside, was outside of that clique, then yes, there still could have been some reprisals, because that's what people are saying, that Pomo was not a part of the clique, was not involved in the clique, was not a favored person in the clique. So if the rats are true, then it would make sense that these things would happen, the sabotage and everything. Yet no 3D until near the very end of the opportunity, which again was once in a lifetime opportunity, passed her right on by. And this is what the person's saying, that, you know, there is no clique going on. There is no any of that going on. I don't think this is true. I think there might be some clique stuff going on. Maybe not as bad as what people are saying. Maybe not as crazy as people are making it out to be. But yes, I do think there's some sort of clique going on here. Just because of lazy management and people being people do like staying in groups. People do like being protective of their groups and things like that. And the lazy management and the fact that that the vice president of the Niji external components, the Niji EN side, ID, Korea, and all that stuff before, doesn't really have a good working relationship with English, doesn't have like good working English, business level English as they call it, not bilingual in that sense, just has the basic one. It would make sense that they would have someone as, you know, a go-between, and that would make the click thing a little bit more believable, in my opinion. Of course, take this as you will, because I'm just giving the information that was handed to me. This Idle Corp's tweet regarding an important announcement is kind of, it's more like just making fun of other people's important announcement, making fun of these type of situations, which is hilarious. It's kind of a stab at Nijisanji for doing things horribly, and these people have a sense of humor, which Nijisanji doesn't have. This is amazing. I would like to inform you this, as of this morning, Our office has become the scene of a serious incident. Group identifying themselves as Genesis is taking control of our offices. Situation is unfolding. We are gathering all details as quick as possible. The safety of our team and the resolution of this crisis are our top priorities. We're in close communication with law enforcement and security experts. Nice. March 17th, Idol Corp. It's a nice little, it's a tongue-in-cheek type of thing against places like Nijisanji, places like that are taking themselves too seriously, like Wactor, for example, Owozu, for example. Those type of people who the announcements are usually a bad announcement. This is kind of a smart PR way of announcing a new generation. I love it, and I'm all here for it. And that is all I have to say about this whole issue. Of course, it's something that is kind of nuanced, and it could just be someone trying to have kind of like a thought experiment where they're trying to see the other side. It could just also be someone trying to really defend them. I'm not sure. And that'll leave that to you. And that's why I put these things out, so you guys can think about it and you guys can make your decision. Of course, comment down below and let me know as well how things are going on your end, and as well what you thought about this. My socials are down there as well. Looking at my Discord is a wonderful place that I've created to have a comfortable space. Of course, there's, you know, drama and everything on the side, but it is not a part of the server. It is its own little separate section that you can talk there if you want, but the main general section is just being kind. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and take a look at this video, like and subscribe, all this kind of fun stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye.